All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here, John Gray, and we're on the set today, and I'm really excited about having these two guys here with me today. One of them's name is David Gogo, and he is an award-winning blues guitarist from Canada. And the other one is my friend, Scott McLeod, and Scott's probably one of the best, if not the best bass player I've ever heard in my life. And he originally is from Canada, and these two guys were friends. And our friends, but played together at one point.
Yeah. We did.
And for quite some time. And, you know, Dave here has played with Johnny Winter, B.B. King, been on stage with people like Buddy Guy.
Jeff Healey.
Yeah, all of
Collins,
these fantastic. Bo Diddley. And has a picture on his website. If you go to his website, you'll see a picture of Dave with Stevie Ray Vaughan. And matter of fact, I think you were wearing a belt that Stevie Ray gave you or something like that.
Yeah, I was 15 years old the first time I met him, and we just seemed to really get along. And so, yeah, he gave me this kind of Mexican embroidered belt, and still have it.
Can you get it on still?
Oh, yeah, it was big. It was extra wide.
No extensions.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Dave, what got you started on this journey?
Well, I can't remember a time where I didn't either have a guitar or a toy guitar. And it was seeing Elvis Presley the first time, actually seeing him on TV. But it made me want to play the guitar and not be a singer,
right.
Which is a funny thing. But just seeing those pictures of young Elvis, and as my parents got me, actually first they got me a ukulele because I was too small to hold a guitar, but I never really learned how to play like a proper ukulele chord or anything. But just it was just something that was always in my life, and something I've always done. After Elvis started listening to the 60s rock and roll bands, and then realized that a lot of those guys, especially the British bands, had a big blues root. And my dad had records, he had CCR records, he had a couple of Hank Williams records, but he also had like Otis Redding and B.B. King and Canned Heat. So through these 60s rock bands, I kind of traced their sound back, going, oh, that kind of reminds me of that B.B. King thing, or maybe a Taj Mahal. And so just started to get into blues.
And a lot of that stuff really started from the blues roots. Even Elvis, a lot of his things, and along in that time was Jerry Lee Lewis and some of these guys who went to these old Delta honky tonks and listened and learned how to play. And so you were doing this through high school. When did you start doing it, playing out? Like we had garage bands here when I was growing up.
I did that, yeah, for sure. But it was funny because a lot of the guys my age weren't into playing, or they were just starting to play. So when I was about 14, I played with some guys that were a couple years older than me, and we put on a couple dances ourselves. Just would rent out the Scout Hall or something, because one of the guys was probably still in Scouts, and do our own gig. And then I started playing with guys who were a little older than me, mostly because I'm from the west coast of Canada. We met these kind of hippie dudes, and they were the most accepting. They would just say, oh, you can play. Well, we all got together and jam every Saturday at this guy's house, and I'd show up with a friend of mine who was a year older than me who played drums, and then through there we started getting gigs in the local bars. So by the time I was 16, I'd formed my first real band and was working professionally. Or back then in my hometown of Nanaimo, you could play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at Frisco's, and then the next week go up to the Commercial and do a 7-nighter.
It's a whole circuit right in the town, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's almost like the Beatles in Hamburg. You had to play 4 sets a night, 7 nights a week, and you get your chops down.
Yeah. Now, did you live out west as well, Scott?
Well, I was born in Toronto, Ontario. When I was in my early 20s, I moved out to Vancouver. Did the rock star thing for about 10 years in Vancouver and all over the Western Canada. Then settled down in Nanaimo, and I got pretty much right into the retail business. I did a lot of playing and sessions, but I got into the retail business just to give myself some foundation. And I kept hearing about this David Gogo kid, right? And it's like, okay, well, hopefully he's going to come into the store sometime. Man, you should hear this kid. You should hear this kid, right? And I say kid because he's a little younger than me, right? And I was extremely young when I started working in the music store. So he came in and we started talking, and we got along really good. And so I started going out and seeing some of the bands. And Dave always had, Nanaimo was a real hotbed for musicians, so he always had like good players with him, good bass players and drummers and all this, and keyboard players. And so I saw him with the Persuaders. No, what was that name of the band that you had? Yeah, and they played the Queens and stuff, so we'd pop in and say, man, this guy is good. So he was a customer of mine, and look, and his inspiration started very young. It really did. So that's how I got to know him. And a number of years later, we kind of got together, did some playing together, and some Mississippi blues, Delta blues. You know, the blues sends a big ripple all the way up to 2,500 miles up into Canada, too, and, and beyond. And Dave's heart was always in the blues, man, I tell you. That's how I know this guy.
All right. Well, now, did you go to college, or did you make your music choice? And
I knew. Like, I mean, I was doing shows all through high school. You know, rather than delivering pizzas or something, I was playing gigs. So there is a very good music program in Nanaimo in their university. People like Diana Krall come through that. Yeah. But I wanted to go on the road.
Right.
So I said to my parents, instead of you paying for me to go to music college, how about I just go on the road and you can shoot me a couple bucks every now and then, And same thing back then. The circuit in Western Canada was very good, and I had a band, and we were all really good players. But we thought, we're from this small town of Nanaimo, and so we tried to play the next town that was bigger, Victoria, and we found. At first we thought, geez, we might be intimidated. There'd be some really good players there. But we found we did just fine. And then we moved to Vancouver. We did just fine. So we got an agent. And back then, same thing. You go up, you could do Calgary for 4 or 5 nights, go up to Edmonton and do a week, get these little, maybe a couple days off in between. We started going through the prairies of Canada. And it was exciting, man. There was a lot of work. And like I say, just learning your chops because you just love doing it and you love playing. And it was interesting, too, because then you go and you meet new people and go to these new towns. And so I'm still doing it.
Congratulations. Well, I mean, no, really. Yeah. I mean, there's so many people, and I have a friend that I write with that's a working musician as well, and I mean, he's not a radio star or anything like that, but he's a guy who works. He plays 6 days a week, every week, and it's amazing to me that a lot of those. I don't want to call them B-level musicians because they're not. A lot of those people are better musicians than the people that you hear on the radio. And better performers, but they just don't know the right folks. They're great players.
Yeah,
they're great players.
Well, it's a little more difficult up in Canada these days because there just isn't as many gigs, especially in the front ends of the week.
Right.
So it's difficult to keep one band together. So what I do at this point is I have one band on the West Coast, one band in Ottawa, and then actually have another band in Holland. And then occasionally I do solo shows as well. I've got an old 1930 National Steel guitar, and that's a whole other thing that I do. So I just kind of have to come up, I have to be the musician plus the agent plus the manager, the promoter, the travel agent, and I just try to say, okay, I tell my one band I'm going to be out here doing this, a couple of weeks with that band. Then I'm going to fly out to Ontario and do a couple of weeks there. Then I'm going to do a solo tour in the prairies. So it's you got to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. You have instruments and amplifiers also waiting for you in these places, so that you don't have to travel with them as well on the planes.
So. Right, and most people do stuff like that now. I mean, most of the time guys show up with their guitars or whatever they have, their main baby that they carry with them, and the rest of it's cartaged in.
Call up Bob Young, and he comes and brings an amp.
Call up my buddy Bob Young sitting out here in the audience.
Absolutely.
He'll bring an amp in for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're down here in Tennessee because you wanted to spend a little time in Nashville and maybe do some writing there, reacquaint yourself with some people there?
Yeah, I haven't been to Nashville in about 10 years, but there's a lot of Canadians living around there now, both playing music and producing music and having studios happening. So my last record came out about a year ago last month. So it's time for me to start thinking about writing again. And that's, it's a big thing. I've made 14 albums, so you try to get the inspiration. So I thought I had 6 days off on the road up in Ontario, and I thought I'm going to head down to Nashville and just see what I can dig up, because it's been a while. But so Scotty's living down here, so he's helping me out and getting me on a program like this and showing me some of the sites. And then I've got mostly other Canadians, but there's one other American guy that I'm going to try to get some writing done with, and just kind of, it's more of a fact-finding mission this week, and see what connections I can make and what interest I can get, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, come back down again in January, but really serious this time, like setting up songwriting appointments,
right,
and that'll be the main focus. Where this time I'm kind of, the last couple of nights I've been checking out other bands and kind
having
of
fun,
being a tourist.
Yeah,
why not?
take a little vacation.
Yeah,
he's in the heart of the South in Tullahoma.
That's right.
This is a hotbed of amazing musicians and great people, and the vibe down here is unbelievable. So I kind of wanted to get him down into the heartland here, the real thing,
Well, and because a lot of the Nashville musicians and the good pickers and a lot of the, we live in an area this Middle Tennessee area is just, it's great. We have all 4 seasons. The weather's never really that hot and it's never really that cold, and there's a lot of beautiful land here to look at, and a lot of the Nashville people are moving down toward here in Bell Buckle and Beech Grove and buying farms and stuff. So you never know who you're going to see. You might see David Gogo, you might see Alan Jackson. Or Jackson Brown. I mean, you just never know who you're going to see. And just walk through the door of a store, in a convenience store or whatever, and so they're finding Bob Young's jam night at Daddy Billy's, and some nights there'll be 6 or 8 guys coming in with guitar cases. They look like the mafia to me. You never know what they're going to have. They all got their weapon inside. And some of them are old and crusty looking, and some of them are 16 years old, like our buddy Chase Clanton, and it's just wonderful to see all these people come together and share their talent and their chops with each other, and it's just a great thing.
Yeah, and that's how I started. Excuse me, is getting up and going to these jams and playing with guys that are more experienced than me, and it's fun.
Well, what I'd like to hear right now is a little music from you two guys. You think we can pull that off?
Yeah. Yeah, my latest album actually I got inspired when I did a trip 4 years ago down, mostly through Mississippi. And so the album's actually called Vicksburg Call, even though I never made it to Vicksburg. But we'll do a song off that record. This one's called...
All right. Just a second. It's called what?
Vicksburg Call.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Are you fooling with me, baby, or have I just been fooling myself? Are you fooling with me, baby, or have I just been fooling myself? If you're gonna change your mind, no doubt, go and find someone else. We were together for so long, no, but then we had to part. We were together for so long, no, but then we had to part. And if you're gonna change your mind, mama, please don't break my heart. Oh, don't do it. Yeah. Time you didn't want nobody but me. Yes, now what there was the time you didn't want nobody but me. Well, if you're gonna change your mind, baby, please just let me be. Let me be, baby. Have I just been fooling you fooling with me, baby? Have I just been fooling myself? If you come and change your mind, don't I go and find someone else? 5 again. If you come and change your mind, don't I go and find someone else? One more. If you come and change your mind, don't I go and find someone else? One, two. Yeah. I remember the first time, baby, when things didn't go your way. You kicked me out of your house, but you begged me back the next day. Well, this time, baby, I won't be there to take the blame. You had a good for so long, baby, now things are about to change. Well, now many people warn me about the crazy things you do. I didn't believe it back then, mama, but every word they said came true. Well, this time, baby, I won't be there to take the blame. You had a good for so long, and mama, now things are about to change. Many people warn me about the crazy things you do. I didn't believe it back then, mama, but every word they said came true. Well, this time, baby, I won't be there to take the blame. Well, you had a good for so long, woman, and now things are about to change.
All right, folks, I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, that was nothing short of great right there, guys.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Now I can see where the awards come from. You know?
Yeah, actually, I'm up for another one this coming weekend up in Canada, but I wasn't able to attend. But it's always nice, you know, to get nominated for awards like that. Like some people say, does it really mean something to you? I said, yeah, why not? You know.
Well, it means that the people who listen to what you do and enjoy what you do are giving you the nod, saying you did good.
Yeah, keep going.
Make it or not, you win or not, just to be nominated for something like that is a great honor, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in little bars and garages and in their living rooms, banging around on guitars, and for you to be one of those chosen few that you get nominated is a very huge honor. Yeah. And you know, when you do something your whole life, it's kind of nice to have somebody say, "Hey,
Yeah.
You've done a good job, fella.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, my latest album was up for a Juno Award in Canada, and that's our version of the Grammy.
Oh, wonderful.
So far I've had 5 losses and 1 disqualification when it comes to Juno Awards. So one of
I had one nomination for or a consideration for a Grammy.
Oh, really?
2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And, just to be in that conversation is a
incredible.
Is a very good
Absolutely.
thing, and it makes you feel very honored to be able to just be talked about like that.
Yeah, and I think it encourages, because to me, every time there's a nomination like that, some people, they look at it as like, oh, they can, just kind of sit and, I go, okay, what's next? We got to match this.
Oh, yeah,
the next project has
it
to be
makes you want to start working harder.
just as good, yeah.
Because
sure.
the thrill, there's a thrill that and a high that goes along with that that's irreplaceable.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
And it causes you to.
The reviews on David's last album were through the roof.
Right.
Which means there are people listening, there are critics listening, and the critics are giving it a 5-star, 2 thumbs up, which brings out the fans, which it all, comes together as having a wonderful fan base, digging their guy from a little old Nanaimo.
Right.
But, the reviews on the last album were just fantastic, and rightfully so.
But that always doesn't translate to the music moguls who make the decisions about who wins what and who gets what.
But I was lucky because it had been a long time since we got any kind of mainstream radio play in Canada. I mean, there's specialty stations that'll play blues, but a radio station near my hometown, they just decided, I guess they'd heard, read some of the reviews and checked it out, and they decided to start playing the title track and got it into regular rotation. And that helps, because I remember the next time we played Victoria, like maybe after they'd been playing the song for about 6 weeks, we were playing a show. It was a venue that was new to me, and it was a pretty big venue. And we were basically just working for the door. And then I found out that ZZ Top was playing in town the same night. So I panicked, because I think, oh man,
no door.
Yeah, everyone's going to go see ZZ Top. But you know what? It was the best attended event I've ever had in Victoria. And 75% of the people that I talked to during the break that wanted to buy a CD that heard the song on the radio. So it just shows
it makes a whole lot of
difference. You get a tune on the
difference.
radio, it really opens up the doors.
Makes a whole lot of difference. Well, thanks for being here today, and Scott, thank you so much for your number one for your friendship and your talent. And it's been a pleasure knowing you, and since you've been around, and to bring this guy here, I mean.
Well, I've been doing the Blues Jam at Daddy Billy's for about a year now with Bob, and I tell you, I've always bragged about David, and it's like this is an absolute godsend to be able to have him come down here, come down to Tullahoma, where I respect so many of the local folks and the musicians and everybody down here, welcoming him in and embracing him, and it's just been a pleasure.
I better not screw up, I guess.
You won't. You won't. And we expect you when you come back in January to come back down and see us.
Oh, I'd love to.
Know how things are going. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
And all I can do is say appreciate it. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me on.
Scott, buddy.
Hey, John,
thank you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys tonight at Daddy Billy's.
All right.
Okay.
Fantastic.
All right, folks. This has been another good one. We'll be back.